QA session. We'll wait for another 2-3 minutes for more people to join. So in the meantime, if you have any questions.
Yes.
Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So today we are going to cover several topics. So yesterday we covered till the we discussed about tables and views, and then we saw what is a persisted view, and we discussed about how to schedule a persisted view, and especially the cron expression, right? And then I asked you, like, if there is a requirement to run a particular job on first working day in a month, every month. So if it is possible by the cron expression. So did anyone find a solution to that? If not, no worries. So it is a limitation actually. So you cannot uh, precisely get it to run on the first working day. You can avoid it running on weekends. That can be done. You can also try to run it on first Monday or first Tuesday, some particular day. But if you say it should be a first working day, then with only cron expression, it's not possible because you cannot write logical conditions and all. In general, in a scheduling tool, we use something like bash script or something where we can do that level of scripting. So even though here we have both basic schedule and then cron expressions, it has its own limitations. So while you are committing to the customer, because the customer asks, look, it will look very simple. They'll ask, it should run, the first working day of every month, or it should run on the last working day of every month, because it's a business requirement. It will come from them like that. And if you don't know the limitations, you might, overcome it. So that's why you have to know the limitations of the cron expression also. So if you have not tried it, go ahead and try it,
But how to
because
do
that.
that if that is the requirement? You have to go with other mechanism.
Yeah, in datasphere, yeah, no way to do that. So if that is the requirement, the only thing you can ask from the customer is, uh, you know we understand, like, you don't want it to run on the weekend. Maybe we can avoid the weekend, but which is your priority? Do you want to run it on the first working day, or do you want to run it on the first Monday or anything? Because if he says, or it should run on first working day, and it doesn't matter if it runs on 2-3 other days, then you can write a cron expression. You can write the expression like, giving that 1 to 5 in the day of the week, right? So it can be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. The problem is, if you have to run it only once per month, it will not stop. So, say for example, the first working day is Wednesday, then it will run on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So it will run that month for 3 times. So if that is okay, that can be one solution. Other solution is like, you can target one day, which will be a Monday or something, irrespective of whether it is the first working day. Maybe if the month starts on Tuesday, then it will take till the next Monday to run. So you have to check with the customer which is his priority. So running it as early as possible, but doesn't mind running it 2-3 more times, or running it only once per month and doesn't mind if it becomes quite delayed. So these are the two things, like a stopgap solution, but there is no direct solution for this, and there also can be questions like factory calendar, right? So in cron expression you can only handle day of the week, like it will know only work, weekdays and weekends, that's all. It doesn't know working day, public holiday, the company's holiday, and all that. So the customers who are coming from S4 HANA system or the traditional SAP systems, they have a concept of factory calendars. So they will ask, okay, something should run only on factory calendars or some things like that, right? So then again, out of box, there is no solutions for that. So at least you should know that limitations beforehand, so that while discussing, at least you know, okay, they are asking something, but it is a limitation. Okay, so today these are the topics we are going to cover. So we are going to cover what are ER diagrams, and then we'll be taking a look at, while creating space, there was something called a database user. So we'll create a database user and then see how it can be used and where it can be used and so on. And we'll brush up on the SQL. I don't know how many of you are, very good on the SQL, but we'll do a light brush up on the SQL, and then we'll see what are the resources that we can use for writing SQL. And then we'll continue a little bit on the graphical view. And then we'll also, if we have time, we will also start on the SQL view. Okay, so the first topic is entity relationship diagrams, right? So how many of you know or have used entity relationship diagram in the past, like ER diagrams? None of you?
Actually, we never use diagrams. We normally create tables or relations, but we don't design the tables. I think I never designed table.
Okay, yeah. So basically, unless you are, you are yourself writing a very big software application, or you are creating a very big database schema, you will never have used the ER diagram. Maybe if you have done engineering, and in some branches of engineering, as part of RDBMS, you might have used it or learned it, right? But here, data sphere being a data warehousing tool, they have provided an option to create entity relationship diagrams. So like it is basically for blueprinting. So if you are creating a house, you will first create a blueprint of the house that shows where the living room is, where the bedroom should be, and all that, right? So same way, in a database system, when you are designing how a schema should look like, you will design the various tables, and then you will design what should be the relationship between tables and so on, right? So do you do that every time in a datasphere project? Maybe not. You might never use it. Or if the customer says yes, we want to start with the design phase, and we want to sign off on the ER diagrams and so on, yes, maybe you need to use it. So that is a tool. Its use depends on how your project team and the customer wants to use it. So what is the primary purpose? Like there are two purposes. So one is the design, right? So for you to get a clarity on, okay, so what are the different tables, what is going to hold the facts, what will have the master data, and how are they associated, and all that. And the other thing is documentation. So if you are handing it over, so sometimes what happens is one company implements Datasphere, and then it hands over to another company. For example, Deloitte, Capgemini, and all, they rarely do the maintenance. So they go in, they implement, and then they hand it over to another, consulting company, where they will take over and they'll run it. So in those type of situations, having a documentation is good. So this can act as ER can act as a proper design document or a blueprint, right? So that are the two primary purposes. So what are the key components in a ER diagram? So again, in the name itself, it is there. So entities and relationships. So entities are nothing but tables, right? So in our, for simplicity, I'm saying entities are nothing but tables, and the relationships are nothing but how two tables are, connected. So do they, what is the primary key in one table, and what is the associated foreign key in the, again, another table, and how are they connected? Are they one to one? Are they one to many? Are they many to many? All that. And then entities can have attributes and so on. So a typical ER diagram will look like this, right? So this rectangle box is your entity, so which is a student, and then the this rectangle is a book, which is again that is another entity. So the entity diagrams are one level above the database, so they will not say directly student is a table and book is a table, because this is a high level design. So in this, they are referring these things as close to real world entities. They are saying that, okay, if there is a student and there are books, what will be the relationships, right? So a student can read book, and one student can read multiple books. Same way, one book can be read by multiple students. So they share a many to many relationship. And then a student will typically have these attributes: student ID, student name, first name, last name, etc. Right? So like this is how we design entity relationship in paper or in any software tools. And in SAC, sorry, in DataSphere also, we have something called as entity relationship model or entity relationship diagrams. So here basically there are two ways to create it. So one way is, so if you have created the entity relationship diagram, then you can import it as a CSN file like we saw yesterday. And then what it does is it will it will deploy all that. It will not deploy, it will at least import all the tables for you. So if I am importing a entity relationship diagram and it has four tables in it, and I don't have to create those four tables myself, when I import the entity relationship diagram, it will automatically create those tables in my space. So let's first see that. You just verify if this space has already these tables. Yeah, I think they are there. The other way is like if you already have your tables and everything, right? So you can start defining relationship between them. So I have two tables here. Now, if I want to, connect these two tables, I can do like this, and the system automatically tries to find the link, right? So based on the name and the data type and the data inside, right? So it will make a judgment that okay, so in this field may be related to this field. Sometimes it can make wrong connections, and then you can correct it, right? And also uh, one more thing I want to show you. So here I am defining the tables which are already existing. I just dragged and dropped them, and then I am defining the relationship between that. But also this is a actual design tool, right? So where you can directly create tables out of this tool itself, right? So I can add a table like this, and then I can start defining, okay, so what are the things that are in this table, right? And then when I deploy this or save and deploy this, what actually happens is the entity diagram, the entity model itself is not going to get deployed because it's not a physical database object, right? So it will only be saved. But when I click the deploy button, what happens is all these tables, if they are not in deployed status, for example, this table will be in a deployed status because it is a table I dragged from here. So you see the status is deployed. Whereas this is a table I am creating in the AR diagram itself, right? So it has a status not deployed. So typically, the right way, or the in the ideal world, how it works is in a DataSphere tenant. First, if you are designing how a schema should look like, so if you are working in a business process, say sales, and then you are saying that okay, in sales we will have a sales order table, and then we'll have a customers table, and then we'll have a product table. So instead of designing that on a paper, what you can do is okay, so now I have table one, which is my sales orders, and then I want to have table two, and which will be my uh, customers, and so on, right? So like that you can keep adding more and more tables, and in each table I can add few columns. right? And the link also in this case, the system does not know because I have just given random column name, so I can just map how the link should be. So like this, I can design an entire entity relationship, and then I can save and deploy this. By deploying, the ER model itself doesn't get deployed because it's not a database object, whereas the tables that we are creating here will get deployed. Any questions? Yeah, if no questions, please move on. Okay, so this is one way, right? So where you start from a empty ER diagram and then you start putting in tables and adding the columns and then defining the relationship. You can also add views, right? So typically you can also add views and you can create a view directly from here and you can do that. But in general, yeah, I mean, entity relationship diagram, you can have views and tables both, but most of the cases you will have the entities will be mostly tables and the relationship between the tables. Now, again, in each of these entities, if I click, there are various options. So the first option is creating a view from the selection. So I clicked on customers, and when I clicked a view, it basically created a view out of that structure of the customers table, right? So this way, it is easier for me to design something like a layered scalable, architecture. So if I always want one table to have one view, so instead of me going to create all the tables and then the views, etc., I can create a ER diagram where I can, first create all the tables, all their relationship, and I can click each table, and then I can click this create view from selection. What it will do is, okay, from that table, it will create a view like this. The structure is automatically copied. So that's the first button. And then this button is for adding new columns. So I can add a column, and each column I can go ahead and I can set it as a key. I can double click the name. I can edit it. I can set various properties of it, etc. And the other button here is to create a new table, right, which we already saw. So we can add a new table, and you can have relationship lines like this. So you can also add from our existing repository objects. So you can select from here as well. So some people, like in DataSphere, when you have a lot of tables, it will be very hard to get it from here. So you can search from here, or also you can go here and then you can find it from here as well. And here also there is a create table button, so which you can create. So the difference between clicking on a already existing entity and clicking create table will automatically create a connection. But if you create table from here, then you can manually create the connection. To do that, you click an entity, you click this arrow, click and hold. You should not just single click it. You have to click, hold, and drag a line like this. So just drag it from the entity to entity. You don't have to be, precisely matching any column name to column name because that you will have to do in the side panel. That the system automatically tries to do, but if it doesn't, then you have to do it in the side panel, right? And then we have add related entities button. That again is based on logic that if the system has perceived the associations which are already there, maybe if we have created associations in tables or views already, then the system will add that. But now these are all tables I'm creating here itself, so that's not useful. And this is the data preview button. Again, if you have used a table which is already existing, and if you click the data preview, it will show the data preview, right? Whereas these are all tables, they are not even deployed yet, so it will not show anything. And then we have the usual lineage button. So in this, if you see, there is this impact and lineage button, and then the custom CSN annotation button. So these are all the various options you have, and entity diagram can grow very big. So you have this auto layout button, which will automatically try to layout and everything. And then here you have the pan and zoom buttons. So if you want to zoom out to see a picture, you can do that. And that's basically, how you will create an entity relationship diagram. Now let's see how we can import one and then what happens when we import an entity relationship diagram, right? So I have already created an entity relationship diagram and exported it as a CSN. So any object or most of the objects in DataSphere, when you export them, it will get exported as CSN files. And then when you want, you can import them back as CSM files also. Right. So now I'm going to a different space because in this space already those tables are there. I can import it, but let's create it in a new space. So if you see here, okay, so I don't know if it's very small. So let me zoom in a little bit. So we are interested in sales orders, right? So we are designing analysis application for sales orders. So sales orders is our primary table. And then we are thinking about the various relationship it has with other tables. So we have another table called sales order items, right? So sales orders will have the main order ID and the main everything except the line items, right? So we have date and we have the gross amount, net amount, everything in the sales order table itself. But if we want line item level details, then we have the sales order item table. So we just have a relationship between them. And when you click on the relationship, here it highlights saying that, okay, they both are matched based on the sales order ID, right? So again, we have sales orders, and then sales orders come from business partners. So we have business partners here as a separate table. And how are the sales orders and business partners related? Again, it's based on the partner ID. Maybe the system automatically mapped it because it sees partner ID in both places. If you think that's not right, you can go here, you can click delete, and then whatever is the right two columns to match, you click any one column, drag it, and drop it on the other column, right? So that way it can get connected, and it can be based on it can be based on any data type as well. So some are supported, some are not supported in actual joins, but here it doesn't matter. Here you are logically creating the association, so you can have multiple columns also to show the relationship. So yeah, you can get just drag and drop a source column to a target column, and then a connection will get created. And another question can be, you can ask, in a typical entity relationship diagram, you have the cardinality, right? So you will say which side of the relationship will have one and which side of the relationship will have many, or both are one to one, or many to many, or one to many, like that. But in here, there is no need for us to specify the cardinality here. But we will see later in the graphical view and data flow and so on. We'll also see how actual joins work. And at that places, we will be using cardinality. And we'll see why it's important to define cardinality in those places as well. Right? For here, it is just, we are just logically saying, okay, these and these two tables are related based on these columns. That's all. And then again, in the business partner, we have address, and address is stored separately on address table. So they two are related based on the address ID. So this is the purpose of a ER diagram, right? So now when I say sales orders, and if someone wants to see, okay, so sales orders, how is everything connected? Then now we have this feature of lineage, which will automatically show all these things, right? So previously, so when DataSphere was released, and when they did not have this feature like lineage and all, it will be kind of hard to know the entire flow, because if you go to a particular view or table, you will see the dependent objects of only that view or table. And then when you again go to that dependent object, again you will see another level of dependency. So for someone to navigate between some 20-30 tables and understand the relationship is kind of cumbersome. And I have done it like on papers itself, right? I have to I'll go into a table, I'll write the name of the table, and then I'll see the dependence to that. But now with all this lineage and impact, this diagram basically you do not have any specific, I mean, some specific value to do the ER diagram anymore. You can just go to the dependency analysis and it exactly gives the same thing. So it says, sales order items are connected to sales orders, which are connected to business partners, that are connected to addresses, and that's it, right? But yeah, if you still want to go the traditional route and you want to create ER diagrams, this is how to create it. And once it's created, yes, you can export it as a CSN file. So it got exported. Now, if I can go to any space and import this ER diagram, let's see, go to some other space. In every space I have this ER diagram. I think I have a space called Rajesh. I don't know if Rajesh is on the call or not. Okay, this space is empty. So in this space, let's import the CSV file. Okay, so as soon as I import the CSN file, see, it is saying that there are 4 local tables. So if I have some views also on the AI diagram, it will show the type as a view. And then if some of these entities are already in the space, it will say the status as already in space like that. But if all the entities are not in space, it will say something like ready to import. Right? And then I can select, and then I can say import CSN file. Now see, it has imported, 4 tables in our space, right? And then they are all not deployed. So if I want, I can go in and I can deploy each one of them. But there will be no data. Like we already discussed this, the CSN files just capture the structure. It will not capture the data, but all the associations will be present. So it will know that how address is related to, business partner and so on, right? So this is the use of ER diagrams. So maybe you can go ahead, and in the drive I have several files.
Can you ping the link to the drive, please, Egan?
Yeah, please save it.
Sure.
Yeah, because sometimes the chat is not working. Okay, maybe can anyone ping the link to the drive in the chat, please? So here the exercise I showed you is this one, which is inside the folder called sales. So inside sales, we have the sales order items, sales order, business partner and address, and even the CSN file for the ER diagram, right? If you want to do, there are other folders also. So we have product sales, and in this there are a different set of tables, and then there is also entity relationship diagram. So if you want to try it, you can first, try creating the tables and then manually creating the ER diagram. And then if you want to verify, if you have, correctly mapped the relationship and so on, you can also import this ER diagram and see, okay, so how are they actually associated, right? So yeah, there are multiple folders here with different data files. So you can go ahead and you can try any of that. Some of them are very big, some of them are medium, and some of them are small. So this too will be a good starting point. So the sales is the one I just showed you, and the product sales can be another example. They both have just four tables. Okay, maybe take 10 minutes or something, and then try the ER diagram yourself.
I have requested for the access to the drive.
It's public, anyone can access it.
No, I cannot. So if you,
No, it's asking send a request.
yeah,
Still,
access denied.
it is public. See, anyone with this link can have access. Can you just try once more, like refresh or something. Everyone facing the issue. No one is able to access the drive.
Now I got the access.
Okay. Can you also try maybe?
Yeah, it is working now.
I don't know what happened. It was already shared. Maybe it got refreshed, I guess, when I clicked that. Yeah, I see that 5 people would like access, maybe. So, Srinivas, Vishali, Anit. Okay. Yeah, you should all have access now.
So Ram, I have one question on this ER diagram.
Mm-hmm.
So assuming the purpose of ER diagram is to, it's like schema designing before the project, right? Where you would like to understand the relationship between various tables and views. So at least when I was practicing ER before on DataSphere, it was not happening, but I just wanted to check with you now. So let's say once you design the schema in the ER diagram using various tables and you give the join on various columns and all. Ideally, when you deploy it, it should create the next level modeling schemas. Like whatever, if I say, a sales order is mapped to sales order item on a sales order ID, then it should create that whatever that snowflake schema or star schema I have created in the ER should actually result in a logical object creation in the next step. Otherwise, it solves no purpose, right? I mean,
It creates all those things, right? So if I create 2 tables and then an association, it creates all those things, right?
right, so it creates the table, but when you deploy it, and let's say you want to create a view in the data builder again, so you have to create that everything from scratch again, right? Like you will drop the views again, then you will map it
Yeah. So
again.
one thing that they did is now they have view also. So for example, if I have a table, if I create a table, and then based on that table, if I want a view, I can create the view also from the ER diagram. And when you deploy it, the table and the view will get deployed. And if you enable, the consumption for the view, it will even so whenever you click this button, right, what actually happens is in the HANA database, it creates that star schema for consumption in analytic related applications, right? So you have to do 2 things. So one is you have to put it as fact, and then you have to expose it for consumption, and then you have to add some measures. So if you do all that, when you deploy the ER diagram, yes, it will create the next level objects. So previously, yeah, you have only tables and relationship, and when you deploy, it will only deploy the table and relationship. But now, if you want, you can also create the views from here.
And let's say I have not done the ER diagram before, and I have directly started modeling my, modeling artifacts like views and analytical data set and analytical model. From that, can I generate an ER diagram?
You cannot generate it. It will not. Yeah, I mean, you can drag them. And for example, I have the business partner. I'm dragging it, and then here, if I say add related entities, see, it will read the association. Okay, so maybe they are not associated. Let me try sales order. So ideally, it will read the association, and then you can select what you want to add. That way, it's kind of partially generating, the relationship. But again, in the business partner, I don't know. This is a different business partner or something. It broke. Okay, yeah, it's a different business partner. So yeah, ideally you can do pieces of automatic generation with that add related entity feature. But again, this business partner has one more layer of dependency, right? So I have addresses, which again I have to click the business partner, and then it reads its associations, and then I have to add object. So that basically destroys the purpose. It doesn't see the whole lineage. It just sees one level of lineage.
But Ram, what is exactly the exact meaning of lineage now? So maybe it's a very, very basic one. I'm asking, please.
Yeah, so basically, so this was, I mean, is this product was called SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. I think back in 2021 or 22, they renamed it or rebranded it as DataSphere. At that time, two things happened. So one is the rebranding. Other is SAP entered into partnership with some 4 5 companies like Databricks, Colibra, and many companies, right? So each of those companies brought some features which they had in their products into Datasphere. And like that, one of the feature that came in is this lineage analysis. So lineage analysis is like we do various list in our traditional this SAP
Right. Yeah.
applications. So in that way, there are two things here. So one is data analysis, which means there should be some data actually flowing from one object to other. Maybe a table and view will show in the data analysis. If I have created a view on top of this table, then that view gets the data from sales order. So in data analysis, they will show as having a relationship. But if I don't want to see that, I want to see if they have any type of association. Maybe sales order has some association with sales order line item. The data doesn't flow from sales order to sales order line item, but they have a relationship. So to see that type of relationship, I can click this dependency analysis, and then irrespective of whether the data flows or not, if there is any type of relationship, it will show all this entire thing. So sales order depend. I mean, there is association between items and sales order, and then there is a association between business partner and sales order, and then there is one between address, like that. So the thing is, this lineage tool was not present like when Datasphere was in its initial stages, maybe 3 4 years back. So at that time, ER diagram was one of the very good ways in which if you suddenly want to see the entire big picture, you can come here and you can see, okay, oh, this is how they are all related.
Okay. Okay. The lineage is talking about the link, right? The link between.
Yeah, the links. Correct.
Okay. And what exercise you was to do, because I opened that one. Which one?
Yeah, so you can use either the sales folder or the product sales folder, and then you can create local tables with the CSV files, and then you can create the ER diagram by dragging and dropping the local files you created and creating the association between them. Or you can also, if you want to do it quickly, you can download this CSN file, and then you can import the CSN file. That will bring in the entire 4 tables for the ER diagram. Yeah, I just want you to get comfortable with this ER diagram builder. It's not that much used, but yeah, it's good to know that how to do it.
If you're if the tables are already there and you're getting using a CSN file, it will overwrite or it will ask.
It will just show that when you import the CSN file, it will show that okay. So maybe I'll show that. So here I have these files. So already in the repository like this.
Okay.
So it says, importing and import of ER diagram. But if I go and see my tables, they were not touched today, right? So they are all still in the old days. So it's still in yesterday's date. That means it didn't touch any of the tables. So some of them are even in the old November 8 date, right? So basically, if it's already in your space, it will not do anything.
Okay.
Okay, can we go to the next thing or need few more minutes? Okay, so the next,
This is required only when we design locally in data space, right? Normally, when you
Mhm.
integrate with source systems, then this part is required. Designing part is required. Data model.
it's not required. So previously it was kind of required because for the this lineage was not like straightforward, right? So you
Hmm.
have to have some documentation to make people understand. So how are the data connected? So it
Okay.
was one of the ways to do that. But now, yeah, it is not required. For other things like third party tools, or if you are getting data from too many sources, and
Mhm.
then if you think, yeah, a design document is required, sometimes what happens is when working on data warehouse projects, some of the clients, they insist that they follow some traditional software implementation methodology, and then they have this various sign offs happening. So they will say in the end of design phase, you have to give me design documents for me to sign off, right? So then you have to go for some external software to create these ER diagrams. So instead of doing that, you can use, like, if you have been required to create ER diagram somewhere, then instead of using something else, there is a feature you can use.
So I think like that. Suppose in BW, suppose in traditional BW, even though we just replicate data from S4 or ECC system, still we create DSOs, ADSOs, then info providers, multi providers, and all, and queries, right?
Mm,
So
yes.
and in DSO level, actually it kind of table stores the data in BW level, even though we are replicating it.
Yes.
So can we think like that, like this data model which we are building? So it will store data locally in DataSphere and in HANA Cloud. Okay, wherever we are, I mean whichever
So
the
you're
source system
going
is.
one level. You are going one level deeper. You're going
Okay.
into the actual implementation details. So this is even one level earlier. So in previously SAP had this ASAP methodology, and now they have this Activate methodology for project implementation, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you are in the realization phase or implementation phase, but this occurs even before. This is the design phase. You have just met the customer. They have described the requirement, but before you are going to do any implementation or realization, this is where you are doing the project planning. You are thinking that, okay, so maybe these are the extractors I'm going to activate out of the box, and then these are the extractors I'm going to enhance. So what people do is, even in BW projects, they use some kind of templates, maybe Excel file or Word document, where they capture all these details. They'll say, okay, these are the 5 extractors, and these extractors will feed to these DSOs. These DSOs will feed to the InfoCube. This InfoCube will go inside this multi-provider, and that multi-provider will, on top of that, will build queries. So in traditional implementation projects, you create such design document even before you start doing them in the BW system. So those type of design documents also have the database design as well. But yeah, I mean, it's very rare. Like, no one is doing that type of classic software engineering anymore. So I would say no customer will insist that you should submit a ER diagram. But yeah, there is a tool. If you require, you can use.
Got it. Got it.
Ram,
Ram,
Ram, I
one
think,
thing. Sorry, go ahead. I'll
yeah.
second. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Ram, at the design phase only, then you're creating all the tables and the structure, everything, right? Then in this case,
Yes.
before
Yes.
implementation. So, and then
Yes.
once you created this thing, then you can use this in the actual design phase by pulling the structure into your tables.
Yes, exactly. So even in S4 and in other tools now, SAP is bringing in such design tools where your design is not anymore, just throw away. Like, it is a design, but I have to now start from the scratch. So in all the tools now, even with SAP is very bullish on SAP Signavio for process improvement and everything. So everywhere, like, they are planning. Okay, so there are some effort spent in the design. Why can't we take that effort and then continue from there? So yeah, you put it very rightly. So in the ER diagram, yes, even in the design phase, the actual tables and views are created, but they are not deployed. So that gives you the leverage. If the customer in the design sign off, if they say, okay, no, you have to add few more columns, you have to change the structure a little bit, all that, you can come back and you can do that. And when it sign off and you are entering the realization phase, at that time you can go and deploy those things.
Ram, one question. So you discussed about DataSphere and Databricks, right? So can those both solutions coexist in the same project? And if so, what exactly the business case?
I will come to that. We have a later session where we talk about all this other
Yes.
tools where DataSphere is integrated to.
Because
Okay,
both
so
I understand both DataSphere and Data Warehouse or the
they
Databricks.
were competitors. They were competitors, but now they are strategic partners. So yeah, your question is very valid. So we'll discuss that. Okay, so now what we are going to see is, so far we have been discussing, tables, views, and everything, and we said the difference between save and deploy, and we said when you deploy only it's getting created in the database, but everything was in the air, like you didn't go into the database and verify any of that. But with DataSphere, even though it's a cloud application, SAP has given access to view what's happening in the HANA cloud, right? So to do that, you have to go to your space management and you have to go to your space. And if you scroll all the way down, you have a section called database access, right? So in this database access section, you have a section for database users. So now we are going to create a database user. So here I want you to listen carefully because some of the people miss this point and then they confuse themselves, right? So there are two schemas. So what is a schema? It is a logical space in the database where a set of users will have access, right? So here, this space, right? What is the space name? Test. This space, what we are saying space, is nothing but a HANA schema. There is a schema in HANA with the exact same name, right? So that's where all the things we create inside DataSphere are getting stored. And for that schema, which is called the space schema, we will have only read access, because then if you have all the write access and everything, you can accidentally screw up, you can do something that breaks the DataSphere required objects, right? So you will get only read access to the space schema. So if I click create, you see the exact space schema name, which is the exact name of our space. For that schema, allow the database user to connect external tools to the space schema and read views that are exposed for consumption. So you will have only read access, and especially for what? For views that are exposed for consumption. We'll see that. We'll go inside the HANA Studio, HANA Database Explorer now, and we'll see that the exact difference. But now you have to understand, whenever we are creating this database user, we will have two schemas in the backend. So one schema is the space schema, which we can only read, and the write operation only the DataSphere the software itself can do. So when you create table or view anything graphically or using SQL, it will only use this space. We can only read the space. But here in the top, it asks for a database username suffix. So you can enter anything, 1, 2, 3, or some name, anything. And then you see that in the bottom, so I'll put DB. Generally, I put DB. So you see that here another schema is getting created, which has a name, space name, hash, and then whatever suffix we are giving. So this schema is called OpenSQL schema. And in this schema only, we will have write access. So in this schema, you can connect any external tool and then you can do data ingestion, or you can use your own SQL statements. Now we are going to do all that. So we are going to create tables. We are going to load the table with data and everything. But this is the space or this is the schema where you will have write access. So these two things you should not confuse with each other. So there is two schemas we are talking about. So one schema is the space schema, and for the space schema, no matter whatever you do, you will have only read access to the views. And then there is another schema, which is what we are actually creating by entering a suffix here. So this schema is already created because it is already used by the space. Only thing is now we are going to get read access to that. Whereas this schema it never existed. Now when I enter a suffix here and then say create, then only the schema itself is going to get created and we can get write access to that. So first thing is I insert a suffix, and then if I want, I can enable a password policy, which means it will force us, to set certain type of password and then reset it, all that. But yeah, I don't want to do that. And then we have read access. So that is what we require. And then if you want to create other database users using SQL inside the Explorer, which we are going to connect using the user, and then you want to create users and then give them again read access, then you can tick this. That will allow our database user to be able to grant read access to other users, right? So if you want that, you can use this. And then if you want to create HDI container for this space that can be consumed in your BAS application or your CAP applications, then you can enable this. But these two things we will not touch now. They are not relevant also for us, so we are leaving it. And then coming to the write access, so I am enabling the write access. And again, these two things are for auditing. So again, don't enable them. It will waste our space only. So we'll not do that. But in a production environment, yeah, if you are exposing a space for write access, and then if you are connecting some external tools, ETL tool or something, you might want to, if something goes wrong, you might want to check the logs. So for that, you can enable it. But for now, I just entered a suffix. I entered I enable this two check marks, and then I say create. So now it created, a database user, and then the username is whatever the space name hash and the suffix we gave, and it has read and write access, and then it says not deployed. So the first thing you need to do after you create is you have to click the deploy button in your space. Why it requires deploy? Because it is physically going to create a schema in this name, right? So it will create the schema now. So once the deployment is done. Okay, now it says active. So now I can connect it either, directly. If I have any tools locally installed, I can connect with that tool, or they have given a tool here itself, which is called. Any questions? Again, I hear some noise.
So, Ram, one question here.
Hmm?
So I see that the schema name and the database username is same. And this is the schema, which is the Open SQL schema, where you can create your own DDL objects,
Yes.
Now, this user will be required to connect to that open schema, correct?
Yes.
So, does that mean I cannot have more than one user connecting it, or I need to always provide, if there are three people, all of them need to use the same user ID?
Okay. Yeah, we'll see that. So I was going to tell that. So this particular user, so if you remember, we just created the user. We never created a password. So for this user to use it, you have to go to edit privileges, and then just the password generation. Just go out. Yeah, I mean, I'll answer that. Maybe, yeah, you can, if you still have the question, you can ask. But yeah, so I want all of you to go to your respective spaces and do this now, because important step. I want all of you to be able to open the HANA Data Explorer and work with me. So when you select the user and then when you click the Open Database Explorer, it will open it. So let it open in the background. So it will take some time. So here you have to give your SAP ID, like whichever you have registered with SAP, that you have to give, and the password for that.
So this user is created in another schema, not in the space schema, which is test schema, test space.
Which user?
DB, this user which we are creating, we're connecting now, it is creating in the test schema, a test space, or another schema. This one.
So yeah. Hold on with your questions. It will become clear once we connect to the cockpit. I'll show you like how the schemas look like.
Okay.
How are you connected to the cockpit? Sorry, I just missed it. 1 minute.
Yeah, so I select my user and then I click.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I was clicking the edit privileges. So yeah. So to get the password, we have to click this eye icon, and then you see here, this is the username, and then this is the schema name also. And using this user, we will have write access in this schema, which is that user schema itself. And then we'll be using the same user, but we will have read access in the space schema. So we have two schemas and only one user. So this user will have write access and every access in his own schema, whereas he will have read access in the space schema, right? And if we are connecting to external tools, then this is the host name and this is the port number. And like someone asked, if multiple users are in the space, do they all require their separate user? Not required, because every time you can come here and then you can click this request new password, and it will give you a password which you can copy, and you can use that for that one session, or you can copy and store it somewhere and use it for multiple sessions. Only thing is, until the next person comes and clicks a new password, this password will work. So like it says, right? So please copy your password. In case you forgot, you can request a new one. So not only in case you forgot, but if some companies, they say you should not share passwords. So in that case, every time, if because this is something that you rarely use, you will not want to jump to Database Explorer every now and then. So whenever you want to use, you can go and generate a new password and use. Okay. So now we are here in the Database Explorer. It automatically filled everything. So it has said HANA database, it has put the host name, it has put the port number, it has even put the username. Only thing is the password I copied from that, I can put it here. And then the display name, it is putting the host name and then the space name. I don't want it to be that long. I'll just keep my just the schema name as my display name. So here it will be a little bit better. So I only entered the password and then I adjusted the display name and then I'll say okay. Right. So now I am connected to this. I'll post a bunch of database explorer things. Okay. So now I am connected to my database. And then if I go to my catalog section, if I click tables or something, right? So I can see there are no tables or there are no views. That is because now we are in what test DB schema, right? The Open SQL schema. If I want to see whatever is created in my space, then what I can do is I can click here and I can go to my actual. Did I enable my read access? So let me check. But in the meantime, yeah, if you have any questions of connecting to your database user, let me know. If you are stuck also, let me know. Because now we are going to do a lot of SQL here. Without connecting to this tool, you will not be able to do that.
Now, can you show me once again that how the database link you got that?
Okay, so if I go to any of my space, I think in all the spaces I would have already created a user. Let me check. Okay, so if you already have user also, you just select the user and then you click this button, Open Database Explorer, and that will open it in a new tab. And then to get the password, click this button and then you will get the password from here.
Okay.
So can I create another user with the same and maybe different name, Ram and underscore 2, like this one?
Yeah, you can create different users, because sometimes you can have different users for different purposes. Maybe one user just for read, one user for write, etc. So yeah, you can create different users. So for example, let me create another user.
So is there any limitation, Ram? Like for each space, we have to create these many users, or else we have in a SAP HANA limitations, right? Similar way.
At least I am not aware of it, and we will not be creating that many users also. So I have seen up to 3 to 5 users without, I think, at least I know that you can create multiple users, but I'm not sure if there are any specific limitations. Maybe I'll check. If I find, I'll let you know.
Okay.
So it is possible that one user which we have created, the Ram_DB, have a privilege to having read access to different spaces. For example, test RAM and the spaces, different spaces which are created in the data space.
No, that's what. Like in this, when you go to the edit privilege itself, it clearly says, for the space schema, you will have read access, and for the OpenSQL schema, you will have write access. But other spaces, they have their own schemas for which you will not have access. For example, I am here, I am checking all the schemas. So all
Yeah.
of you have some spaces, and for me, it is not visible. So even though some of the spaces I have, at the space level, I have the administrator access, but still they are not visible for me here. Right? That's why.
Okay.
Okay. So for each, it means that to having a privilege of read access of each space, we have to create another user.
Yeah, this database user is created in every space where you want
Yes, sir.
the schema
Yes.
level access. Yes.
Okay.
Ram, I took the user ID and password from here, but it's not allowing me into the HANA DB.
Can you share your screen maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Ram, also yesterday I missed the class. Going through training from the data builder, how to go to the space. I very basic question, but I can see the recording later if you want to show
Okay.
again after.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Because I missed the class yesterday. I was going through recording. I have covered only 1 hour. So
You have to click the default identity provider. Yeah, anyone, if you are getting this screen, you have to click your default identity provider, and then no, not this user and password. That's where you have to put your SAP user ID and password if you already have an account, or you have to click in the bottom. You have to click the Get SAP Universal ID. So you have an account already, and
Or
yeah,
is it the data sphere ID or it's a general account ID that I need to use?
for any SAP site like learning.sap.com or support.sap.com, where you generally use a S user ID, right? That you have to use.
Or if you don't have that, then you can't.
You have to
use
create it
the-
here.
Okay.
Yeah. If you don't have that, you cannot use the Database Explorer, because that's a cloud tool where they authenticate you using this.
Okay. So I was using the data sphere one, maybe.
Yeah. Inside the Database Explorer, you have to use the DB username and password.
Ram, I have not gone through this. So if you can help me, I can share my screen.
Yeah,
after
sure,
this.
sure.
Yeah, I
So
can stop my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
just
share your screen. Yes.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is where I'm into data builder, right? How to go to the space.
In
So-
bottom, there is a space management, right? So in the side panel.
Space management.
Yes.
Okay. So
Here, search for your space name. Click and then edit, and you are inside the space.
okay. Then how to go to that cockpit again from here?
Yeah, you have to first create a database user. So
I'll
in
go
the
to
top,
user.
you see database access, right? Yeah, click that database access. Yeah, here create. There is a create button. There only, there only. You scroll.
This one, right? Create. So
Do some suffix.
anything, right? DB.
Anything. Yeah, I usually put DB, but yeah, anything you can put that. And then you can check the enable read access and come down and then check the write access also. And create. Yes.
Okay. Then from here, do I need to deploy this? Okay.
Yeah, you have to deploy the space.
Deploy is okay.
So Ram, if I have two spaces, I cannot have the same DB user in both, right? Although they both are my space.
Then
You cannot have. Yeah, correct. You have to create, like in every space, you have to create a DB user
Painful.
separately.
once DB created, what should I do?
You can click this, select that user, click Open Database Explorer, and it will open the Database Explorer for you.
User, right? So where? Okay, this is the user. Database Explorer, what to get? Sorry.
Amar, I'll
That's fine.
show from my screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So here you see you have to deploy the space, and then here it should say active near your username. Once it shows active, you select your user and click this button, Open Database Explorer. That will open in a separate tab.
Right.
And for getting the password, you have to click this eye icon, and from here you can click the request new password and copy that. Okay. So anyone else, any problems connecting to the database? And one more thing, like while you're giving privileges, or if you have already created also, you go in and then you give edit privileges and add this privilege also, like the HDI consumption and the grant option also, because I want to show you something. So you basically have to have 4 ticks. Earlier I said only the read access and write is enough, but now I want you to check all the 4 options except the log. You check all the options and then again deploy it, and I'll show you. And if you are having any problems connecting, yeah, don't hesitate. Spend some time and then connect. Anyone connected successfully to the Explorer?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I did, but I'm trying with another space now. There it's giving me an error. So wondering cannot connect two at the same time, something like that.
And the
No,
user
you can
ID.
connect 2 at the same time. So you see here I have 2 separate database connections, right? So one is from my RAM data space, another is from my test space. Even I can add more, like if I want, if any of you share your username and password also, I can add an instance. I can give all the details and I can basically keep on adding any number of connections here.
So this Explorer is Eclipse only, right? Or it's different?
Yes, it's a replacement for Eclipse. Eclipse was an offline tool, so they wanted a cloud tool, so they did this. Not exact Eclipse, but the HANA Studio. I think that's what you meant by Eclipse.
Yes. Yeah.
Ram, I have a question. So, when it comes to HANA Studio, we say it is an Eclipse, which is called an open editor tool, right? So, so here the Explorer is an open editor. Can I call that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It is. But yeah, I mean, there is a slight catch there because when you say Eclipse, right? So Eclipse had multiple flavors of plugins. For example, if I am doing only HANA development, I'll have certain plugins and I will call it HANA Studio, right? That's one set of Eclipse with certain development tools and perspectives and so on. And if I am doing some cloud native or cloud related development, I'll have another set of plugins. And if I'm doing ABAP related developments, I'll have another set of plugins, and then I'll call that ABAP development tools. And that is another, again, Eclipse with a set of plugins. Right. Again, if I want to do different things, I will have to install different plugins. I'll do different things. Right. But here, it is the HANA Studio version. So you can do whatever you want to do with the HANA database. But if you want to do something on a higher level, like you want to do the calculation view, or you want to do, cap related development or something, then there is again another cloud application which is called Business Application Studio, BAS. Right. Again, that's a different environment in which you have to connect. So similar to Eclipse having different plugins, now what they have made is for every one of those offline tools, now you have some online tools.
Okay.
Yeah, someone was asking something.
So I'll take another 1 minute. I'll just share my screen sorry for that. This is the last time I'm doing. Please.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I got this. Then
it's not shared yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the password, right? Copy password. This is my username, right?
Username will be autofilled. Yes, that's the username.
No, username is coming this one, right?
No. Okay. So everyone is confusing this. So this one here, it is asking the username and password for connecting you to the database explorer. For this, you have to enter your SAP username and password. If you don't have, you have to create a new one.
I had actually. Oh, I had that one. So this is the one, right?
Yeah.
So if I click continue, then password is that one, the password which you are given, right?
Which is stored, yes. No, not that, like your user password, not the one you copied, no.
Okay.
I was just sharing, but I hope, it connects for you.
No, I think so. I have to create that. Then, but what is this password then? The password which you told, where that is used?
That is inside, like after you go inside the database explorer, you have to connect to the actual database. That's where it will be used. Now, see this database explorer tool, right? It is not open for everyone. So,
yeah, you can show it.
Yeah. So this database explorer, it is a tool. It is only for SAP customers. So that's why first they want to verify, are you the customer? For that verification, they want to see your PID or SID, your SAP ID to verify you and allow you inside the tool. But once you are inside the tool, you have to connect to different databases like this. So once you are connected to the tool, automatically a pop-up will come and it will ask for your password. So here whenever it asks for your password, here you will paste that password.
The password from which you created. Okay.
Yeah. So everyone, this is an important point. So when you are trying to connect to the database explorer, one second.
The company's user ID?
Any user ID. So they just want to verify you before they give access to you the database explorer. Did it connect for you?
Does SAP Learning has a DataSphere, anything, systems or any learning?
Yeah, it will have. Practice systems, you mean?
Yeah, practice systems or something like learning journeys.
Learning journeys. Yeah, it will have. It will have 2 learning journeys, but I don't think they have any practice systems yet. For SAC, there are like some 5-6 practice systems and then many learning journeys, 10-12 12 learning journeys. But for DataSphere, I think they have 2 learning journeys. So one learning journey is very outdated. They took it from the OpenSAP.com and they directly put it in Learning SAP. And one learning journey is okay, quite recent, called Exploring DataSphere. I think 2 or 3 hours long. The other one is some 9 or some. It's a longer one. The longer one is the outdated one, and the shorter one is the newer one. Okay, so I hope all of you are able to connect. So I'm going to continue. So if you see my screen here, or anyone want any help in connecting? Still facing
Maybe later
problem?
we will do, because this user ID I have to create. Okay, I'll do that later.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So now
So
if you
Ram,
see here,
once we are inside, just a small thing, we should see both the Open SQL schema and the normal space
I'm
schema,
coming to
right?
that. Yeah, I'm coming to that. Yeah. So if you see here, this is the schema selector, this box, right? So if I click this, it will show me all the available schemas, right? So I have 2 users now. So one user, I have given it in the system level setting, I have given it access to see, all the schema HDI containers. And even if you allow HDI container access, you should be able to see at least your schema HDI container, right? So now I am in the space called RAM_1, right? So this RAM_1 hash DB is my open SQL schema, or the schema with the right access. But if I want to see my original schema, the space schema, so there is this RAM_1 without any suffix. So if I select that and I say select here, so now my RAM schema is selected. And in that, if I click tables, I can see all the tables that I created in that space. And same way, if I click views, I can see all the views I created in the space. And that views can in turn create, other views and other intermediate objects and so on. So all these things you see like gibberish, right? So they are all internally used by SAP, right? So that's why you cannot have, you cannot have write access, or you cannot delete something, etc. So I'll try to delete this. So you see here insufficient privileges. So same way, if I go to a table, for example, and then I have business partners as a table, right? So if I go here and I say open data, so see here, it is saying insufficient privileges. I cannot see the data inside the table, right? Whereas if I go to the same business partner, but in the view, if I go to the business partner view, and then if I say show, open data, it will show my data. Yesterday we were seeing this example, right? 41 records, like that example. So I can see my data. So the thing is, that's where we read it here, like while creating the user, it was giving you the exact statement, allows the database user to connect and read views that are exposed for consumption. You have read access, and that too only for what? Only for views. So other objects, yes, you can see, like I can see that there are so many tables. Even I can see sometimes all these other objects also might be present, right? I can see them, but nothing more. I cannot open them. I cannot delete them. I cannot edit them, anything. And in views only, I can see the view, and I can also read the data if that view is exposed for consumption, right? So that is the use of the first space, this schema, the space schema, this one, the original schema of the space. Now, mainly we'll be working with the OpenSQL schema, or the one that you created with the suffix, because that's where we will have write access, right? So if you have to switch your schema, you have to switch from here. So I am going to switch back to my other schema, right? So yeah. So in this schema, so far we have not created anything. So that's why it is saying no views, no tables, etc. So we'll create something now. Yeah, any question? Okay. So now to create something, we need a place to. Yeah, if you are not speaking, please go on. Vinay, are you speaking to me? I can't hear you. Yeah. So now to write the SQL, we need a SQL console. So here is a button. If you click that, it opens a SQL console, right? And then I'm not going into too much details of this SQL console. In today's notes, maybe I'll put a link. If you are interested, you can go and read about different HANA functions and everything in detail. And I'll even put a learning.sap.com link to get yourself familiar with the database explorer as well. But here, whatever is required, I'll tell you, right? So with that, we can do some uh, SQL today. So in the shared driver, there are two folders which are in yellow. They are not data files. So all the things in blue are all data files, but this yellow things will have different things. So now we are interested in the SQL folder. So I have different SQL files here, right? So which you can download. So I am downloading the first file. Download all the files now itself. But yeah, so let's see what we will do with this files. So in the Database Explorer, I can import a SQL file. So I'm going to import the first SQL file, which I downloaded, so which is called the sample data. So in this, we are going to create certain tables. So we are going to create a customer table, and then we are going to create a orders table, right? And then we are going to insert some data into the customer table and the orders table, right? And then we'll be using that to understand the different querying and everything. And to do that, I can run, if I want to run the entire file, I can just select everything and run it, or I can just click this run button and that will run the entire file. But if I want to run a particular statement, I can select the statement and I can run that. So I just ran create customers table, right? So it just ran the one statement. And now let's see. Okay, I am in the wrong schema, I guess. So that's why it's not showing. I should be in the test DB schema. So you see that customers got created. Now, if I want to create orders, I can go, I can run it and orders will get created. But now there are no data. So if I right click and I say open data, it will not show any data because there is no data, right? So if I want to enter data, I can use insert in SQL. So I'm saying insert into customers, ID, first name, last name, email, and this is the values. So if I run that, it will insert that one record. And now if I check my customers data, so I should see the one record, right? So basically this is like a data dump of two tables and all the data in that. So if I don't have anything in my schema, let me delete all these tables. And if I run my entire file, it will basically create the two tables and then fill them with data. So if I open the customers now, it will have the 7 records. And then if I open my orders now, that will also have multiple records, right? So that is the purpose of the first SQL file I have shared with you. So again, here we use very simple create statements and insert statements, and that's it. So when you run it, it's creating a table and inserting the data. So now why did we do that? So again, we are going to learn about select statements and then joins and then unions, because we are going to use that in creating SQL views, right? That is the purpose. So we are not trying to learn HANA. We are not going into the details of all the HANA functions and everything, but I'll leave a link. If you are interested, yes, you can go into the details of it. But here we are only covering whatever is required, very minimal, for creating SQL views. That's all. In the DataSphere level. So here we have a SQL console to practice the SQL. That's why we come here. So now let's go to the second.
One silly question before you go. When you create a SQL schema in the data builder, it will create in this other schema, the Open SQL schema or the normal schema?
Any object you create, either graphical view or a SQL view, whenever you create it from DataSphere, it will always create in the space schema. Only so it will have only write access to the space schema. and we will have only write access to this all the other open SQL schemas. So we both always operate in different places. So it will not touch our work. We will not touch its work like that.
Okay, in that case, what is the idea of having this open SQL schema then?
Yeah, I mean there are like integration aspects to it. We'll see that later. So now we are just using it as a SQL Scratchpad.
So can I join, table from space schema to this my own schema?
No, because we will not even have read access to the tables.
No, so from view, maybe maybe because we have the read access on the views. So can I join with views?
You can try that. It should.
Okay.
I mean, I think it should work. Yeah, you can try that and let me know. Yeah, in view level, yes, we do have read access.
Now, suppose here, if you are creating multiple tables, this table will be reflected to DataSphere or where we are creating the tables right in the space. There it will be reflect.
It will not reflect because it is in a separate schema, right? So test hash DB. My space is actually just test. So they are two different.
If suppose the other user, which is space user ID, in that schema, if you are creating, will it reflect to over there?
You will not be able to create. You will not have write access to do anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Suppose these tables, if we want to leverage your DataSphere level, how we can able to?
That's what. Like we'll see that. So there are some integration aspects, like you can load data, you can replicate and all that. But yeah, that's a later thing. We'll see.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So now the second file I shared with you, it contains a bunch of select statements, right? And we'll go through the select statements. So this is the very basic form of, I think the font is too small. So maybe this is the very basic form of select where we say, select all the columns from a table name, right? So if I run that, it's going to select all columns from customers and all the rows. Now, if I want to specify a few columns, which is called projection in, in set or algebra, everything it's called projection only. So even in SQL is implemented based on relational algebra. So here also the operation is called projections, right? So if I want only few columns, I can give the column names and instead of asterisks, right? So then it will only show those two columns and all the rows. Now, if I don't want to see all the rows, if I want to see specific rows, then that operation is called filtering. And for filtering, we use a new statement called var. So in SQL, these are called classes. Right? So select is a statement from and var is a class. Right? So in the var class, we are defining a filter. We are saying that product name as laptop. So from the orders table, you give me all the columns where the product name is laptop. Right? So SQL basically reads like English. So if you are not having SQL background also, you should be able to understand it. And later we'll see how we can use ChatGPT or some tool to just give some queries and then get the SQL from it also. So now you see that from the orders table, it has this many data, but it is not showing all the data. It is just showing wherever the product name is laptop, which is just 3 records. So I'm just getting 3 records. And then we can sort the data, which is returned using the order by class. So in order by, I'm saying sort by quantity. By default, the sort will do ascending sort. So if I want it in the descending order, then I can give the DESC. And if I do that, it's going to give me results like this. So quantity, if you see, it is sorted in the descending order. If I remove this DESC and if I just say order by, it will by default sort by ascending order. And for numbers, yeah, it is going by smaller number to bigger number. For text, it will go by alphabetical order. So if we say product name, it will also go by alphabetical order. So you see camera, headphone, laptop like that. So that's the use of order by class. And then we have something important, which is called aggregation. right? So where you want to not only return some values, but you want to group the values together and then perform some addition or average or some operation on the measures, right? Or the numeric values. So I'm saying that I want customer ID and I want to sum the quantity. So what I'm trying to do is I want to see a customer can have multiple orders. So the same customers, the customer one can have multiple orders, like that customer two can have multiple orders. So what I want to know is per customer, what is the total order quantity? So it has to sum all the order quantities. To do that in SQL, we are doing like this, where we say, I want customer ID, and then I want sum of the quantities, and I'm giving it a name because then if without the name in the result, it will look ugly. It will say some quantity. So I'm giving it an alias and calling it total quantity. And for whenever you have an aggregation function like this in SQL, you have to tell in based on what condition it has to group things, right? And generally, if you have any non-aggregated values like this, then they all should go under the group by class. So I have customer ID here, and I want to sum the quantities per customer. So I'm saying group by customer. So I'll say run, and then it will give me, okay, for customer one, the total quantity is 3. So if I go here, so customer one, quantity 1, customer 1, 1, and then 1, 1. So all of that, if you add, it's 3. Right? So like that, it is doing a group by of customer by customer. And then we have, so earlier we saw that there was a where condition, right? So where you can specify some value to filter. So after you perform a group by, if you want to filter based on the results of the group by, right? So I am seeing that now, in the return results, there are total quantity of 3, 2, 1, everything. But if I want to see only wherever the total quantity is more than 2, then I can put that condition in the having class, right? So I am saying that, for every customer, find the total quantity they ordered and return only those customers who have ordered, more than 2 products or more than 2 products. So if I just
Ram,
say,
on this one, if you can just help me here, can you just confirm that the alias name will not work in the having clause? Like total quantity?
yeah, in HANA, it
Yeah, that's
doesn't
what I want to
work.
check whether HANA is supporting that or not.
Yeah, in MySQL it works. In HANA, yeah, see it throwing another.
Okay, can you check one more thing for me because you have the SQL ready? Can you just check in order by? Does it allow you to use?
No, there also it'll. Yeah, in order by it will allow actually.
So if you just say order by total quantity DESC, maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
The reason could be order by applies once the data is retrieved and then it applies the order by. Having by is like directly it's the database before retrieving it, right?
Correct. But in some databases, they have handled that also.
Yeah, the newer
internally
database,
they handle it.
it's working, yes.
that.
Like Postgres and all, it allows now.
Yeah. So in order by, in most databases, it will work. And exactly the reason, like you said, it is in the presentation layer only, it is doing the order by. That's why it already knows what the alias is. But this happens even before the presentation layer. So that's why it is not working. But in most databases, like they have started using the aliases there also. But yeah, in HANA, it's still like this. And even in HANA, maybe if any of you know, correct me, I don't see that it works with multiple inserts. Like if I try something like this, right? So if I try something like 2 value insert like this, it is not working in HANA. It will work in other databases. So is it expected? Do we have multiple insert support in HANA or no?
It supports, right? In multiple database it supports. I mean, sorry, data tables, database tables it supports.
So if I try this, see here, it is saying that incorrect syntax near comma in line 28.
I mean, that I think comma is not required here actually.
Just put 2 semicolons.
Oh, that's
not semicolon. Not semicolon.
Oh, that's it, without comma.
Yeah. No. Syntax is different. I think within values it should be written once only. Maybe you should have multiple brackets open after values, first values, and then remove that values, and then after first value remove that second values, and write one bracket, open one bracket there, and then keep comma in the first row, and then maybe now you try.
Oh, okay. They have a different syntax.
I think okay. Let me check and come back to you. It works actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just that they have a weird syntax.
Yeah.
Yeah, syntax will be different. Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Thank you for letting me. Okay. So that is basically all the select queries, right? And then if we quickly brush up on the joins, so that is the third file. So if you import the third file into your SQL console, then you will see all the types of joins. So the first one is inner join. So inner join again, we'll not be using that much in a traditional data warehousing scenario. So can anyone tell me which is the most used join in a data warehouse scenario?
Left outer join.
Yes. And why is that?
So most of the time,
The reason is it actually checks the left table and retrieve the respective unique, matching record from the right table. So basically, it doesn't match where the records exist in both the tables. So that is the reason its performance is better.
No, I think if you do inner join, you will lose some content of the left table, right? Because it will only return.
So that's what I said, right? Inner join will check both the tables, like whether both matching records exist or not. Left outer doesn't do that.
Okay. So in that, the main question is, what table will you keep it as the left table and what table will you keep as the right table? In a data warehouse scenario, we have fact tables and then we have dimension tables, right? So fact should be left or dimension should be left.
Basically, it depends on scenario. It doesn't like same. So suppose
it should not depend on scenario. Then your first statement will be wrong. When you said
no. See, simple example. Suppose I want all the products, but what is the quantity or the sales happened for that? Okay, in that case, product will be the left table. So because some products might not have sales in that. Suppose you have what do you say for festivals, right? What we call that products. I forgot the name.
What you're explaining is right. You are explaining the join, but the thing is, in general,
that's
we
what
are doing
the
data
statement is
analysis.
Different, right? I want all the products and their respective sales happened for the specific duration. Then I need to show all the products. But it's like I want for this particular duration, I want the sales happen for a product. So okay, or some multiple products. So I just need go to the fact table and retrieve all the products and the sales happened. I don't need to go check
I
in
am
the
not
master
saying
data.
that you are wrong.
Yeah.
I am just trying to finish a statement where in data warehousing, generally fact tables are very big tables, right? Compared to dimension tables, which will have maybe few thousand records, whereas facts will have millions of records. Like your first statement when you said left outer joins have performance benefit is true, and that performance benefit will come if you use certain types of keys and certain types of indexes. But given that, like in worldwide, the approach for data warehousing is yes, you will always use left outer joins, and you will always keep the bigger table, which is generally the fact table, in the left side. And also you will always, most of the time in analysis, you will always want the transactions irrespective of which dimension is missing. If in some of the dimension, if I'm just having null values, in especially in planning scenarios and all, I will have null values in most of the places. I will not know what is the specific region, or I will not know what is a specific product. I don't care. I want the transaction irrespective of whether there is an association to a master data is there or not. So for all these reasons, in data warehousing, mostly we'll have left outer join, and mostly the bigger table, the fact table, will be on the left side. And the reason is, one is yes, performance, and the main reason is we always want the transaction irrespective of whether the master data is there or not. Okay, so with that, let's go into some of these joins. Right? So you already all are very experienced, so that's why I'm going very fast. So you all know better than me. So we have inner, which is like if the data is matching between the two tables. So if there is a customer ID here, and in orders we have order ID and customer ID. So these two tables can be matched based on the customer ID. So if the customer record in the customer table, here also the ID is present, and in orders table also that ID is present. Only those records will be returned. So if you see here, there are two customer IDs, 8 and 9, which is not there in the customers. And same way here, there are two customers, 6 and 7, I guess. Yeah, even 6 is there. The 7, they don't have any transaction at all. Right? So in real world, this cannot happen because there will be integrity checks. So you have to first create the customer master, and then only you will be able to create an order. And that is one of the reason you always can go for a left outer join, because it doesn't have to do some checks like integrity checks, right? Because that is enforced by the database. So while you are creating the orders table itself, you can give a referential constraint saying that always ensure that the customer ID which I am trying to enter is part of the customer table, right? So that way that is given. But here for demoing all the joins, we have broken that rule, and we have a customer who doesn't have any transactions. This can happen in real world, but we have some transactions for which the customer doesn't exist. That can never happen in real world. But let's see how the inner join works. The inner join should return only these records, like only from the customers who exist in the customer table, right? So if I go back to my inner join and run it, right, and then we see the results. So it has all the customer IDs from 1 to 6. It does not have 7, 8, or 9. But sometimes if I want to see, irrespective of if the match is happening or not, I want to see all the values from the left table and the matches, right? So in the left table, I'm just so here is the join condition, right? So the on is the join condition, and here is the type of join. So from this, can you tell me which is my left table and which is my right table?
Customer is a left.
Customer is left.
Yes. So if we go to customers, we see that we have 7 records, right? So if I run this at max, how many records it should return? Or it depends on orders also. So I'll show you the order table as well. So here we have 13 records, right? And then some of them match and some of them don't. What left outer join will do is it will take all the matches. It will be returned in the result set. In addition to that, whichever customer is there, which doesn't have any transaction, even they will be returned, right? So now if I run this left outer, so if I see here, yeah, all my matches, which is still the 6, which is the exact result of my inner join, right? So all that is written, and extra 1 record, which is for the customer 7, is written. But for all the values, it doesn't get from the right table. It is putting null. So this customer doesn't have any order. So order ID is null. Product name is null. The same way, we have right outer join. So in that, we are saying that irrespective of whether there is a match or not, return all the matches plus return all the records